much, and you're in the troop, and I think the results are pretty well made known. You've got some guys going around here with red arrows with a white sash, right, going around. So I want Chris to talk a little bit about OA as much as he can, and introduce the guys that were inducted as OA members for our troops.
All right, let's introduce members first. Austin Willoughby, James Ward, Bradley Baker, Devin Dykes, Jonah Pfeiffer, Earl Jernigan.
All right. Round of applause. And Chris. Well, Chris, of course.
Yeah.
Yes, and myself.
And Chris.
All right, so we didn't know a whole lot about Order of the Arrow, but it turns out that it's a service-oriented organization. They basically do a lot of work for Camp McKee. So we went to Camp McKee on April the 5th. We got there about 6 o'clock. They had a ceremony, and the boys were chosen. And from there, we hiked a little ways, carrying everything that we would need for the night. Basically, bare essentials. If anybody remembers April the 5th, on April the 4th, it poured rain for 2 days. And it rained that morning on the 5th. So it was very wet, muddy. So anyway, we went, it got dark. It was about 9:30, 10 o'clock at night. We're still walking and hiking. And they split us into 2 groups. There's several ceremonies that we have to attend that night. Most of it's by torchlight. And we end up on a concrete slab outside. Luckily there was a roof over our head, but that was it. No walls. It got down to about 34 degrees that night. Bradley, was it cold?
Yep, very.
So, we were told to bring a sleeping bag and something like a tarp or something to lay down because of the weather. Bradley didn't bring a sleeping bag with him, so he got a little cold that night. I had a nice loose down. I was pretty warm. But anyway, next morning we got up, we ate breakfast. It was very light. Didn't have a whole lot to eat, and we proceeded to take the night before we were taking a vow of silence. We weren't supposed to talk at all during the day on Saturday. The boys had to do work, the adults had to do work, and basically set up all the tents on McKee for summer camp, every campsite. And I believe there's 13 campsites, and there was probably 25 to 30 tents in each campsite. Big tents, not little tents, but pretty good sized tents. These boys got real good at tying taut line hitches, securing the tents. So after that, that took until a little afternoon, probably about 1 or 2 o'clock. We finished that up, and then we went around and we collected brush. There was piles of brush, and we had to clear those out and put them where they weren't out in the open or seen. And then after that, we had a nice, that's right, we did dig up a fence, didn't we? They had to have a fence removed from the rifle range. We pulled 6 fence posts out of the ground, probably 5-6 inch in diameter. It was a plank fence. Removed that when they were getting ready to do some dozer work for the new rifle range that they're putting in there at the Key. National Guard's doing that for the Boy Scouts. That's an awesome thing that's getting done. Huge cost savings by having to come in there and do that. Then we had a ceremony that afternoon, and I really can't tell you about that. The only way you ever get to experience that is to be a member of Order of the Arrow. But we went off into the woods to a part of McKee that I didn't even know existed. But it's obviously used for this ceremony on numerous occasions, but you would never even realize it was where it's at in the woods, and you walk past it all the time. After that, we had our first good meal of the day. The mess hall served us supper that night, which it was actually good, so you know how hungry we were. So, do any of you all like to add anything? James, each one of y'all give what you all thought about the experience of being inducted into the Order of the Arrow.
That was fun. We saw
cold that night?
Yeah,
A little bit cold. It was kind of windy that night. The wind was probably blowing 10 to 15 miles an hour. So it was, some boys chose their spots wisely, others did not. So,
Girls like me.
Bradley?
Well, when they say you can bring a sleeping bag, bring it.
In one of the objectives in Order of the Arrow, they tell you to do 100%. When we were putting up the tents, when we were talking, it's some of the most hardest stuff you'll ever do without talking.
You gotta remember, these aren't like regular tents like you're camping with. And
They're
most of these boys had never set
They're
up
like
these
50
big tents
pounds.
before. So it was, not only are the tents canvas, you know, they're big canvas tents, and then there's 3 poles in order to get them set up right. And it takes some, they gotta work together. And when you can't really, I mean, I'm not gonna say they didn't talk during the day, but there was no frivolous talking. Okay, there wasn't talking just to be talking. So, Devin?
What Joe said.
Oh no, can't do that.
It was a tough day, but it was also a good day. I mean, you know, to experience that, you know, it's like anything else.
What you got for me, Earl?
Well, adults, don't make a Devin knot.
A Devon knot, right. We have certain knots we should tie, and I do not believe you'll find a Devon knot in your scout manual.
Nor will it ever work.
All right.
Did you learn any camp rules?
Any camp that's funny, we're not going to discuss that. Nice.
You got no.
Nope. No, I'm not telling. I'll tell. All right. Me being me, I like to have fun with the boys, and sometimes I forget that I'm going to be 44 tomorrow. Is that correct?
Yeah,
45 tomorrow. Yeah, I'll be 45 tomorrow. So anyway, we were on the way back from the OA ceremony, and we cut through campsite 9, and we're coming down the trail to the bridge that crosses the river there before you go over to Stanford Hall. And James and Austin, they were kind of cutting up, and I broke the first rule of camp, which was don't run at camp, right? No running at camp. So I got in front of James and Austin, and I said, I'm going to beat you to the mess hall. And then, of course, they didn't let that stand, so they got out in front of me, and me being competitive like I am and not realizing that I'm not as young as I used to be. Right before you come to the concrete bridge at the lake, there was a root across the trail. And it tripped me. And the concrete embankment that holds the bridge is about yay tall up, so it's like a step up onto it, and it caught me right across the ribs. Now, tonight, my ribs are still bruised and hurting. So, now what's funny is that I got home and my wife was like, so what's wrong with you? And I'm like, I think I've cracked some ribs. And she's like, oh, what did you do? And I told her, and she's like, you know you're not supposed to break the can.